Welcome to News Video Clip. The U.S. Supreme Court gave Donald Trump a big victory today. Back in March, Trump wrote this executive order that would give him the power to limit and restrict mail-in voting. Now, Trump uses mail-in voting, but he claims when everybody else uses it, it's full of fraud. So he wants to take away your right to do mail-in voting. Here is Mark Elias from Democracy Docket. He's a lawyer who has beaten the Trump administration many times in court, and he's going to explain this. Let's watch the clip.
Part of the executive order that I have focused most on, the part that I want you to pay most close attention to, is a section that said that the U.S. Postal Service is to create a new set of rules for delivering mail ballots. Now, up until now, if a state wants to allow you to vote by mail, they send you a ballot, you fill out the ballot, you mail the ballot back. The Postal Service just carries that ballot, no questions asked. Under this new executive order, the Postal Service was ordered to create a new set of rules that makes it more complicated, that both specifies exactly what ballot envelopes will look like, requires a barcode that is generated, that is unique to the individual voter. But most importantly, it also says that nobody can get a mail-in ballot or deliver it unless they are on an approved list of people submitted by the states in advance to the U.S. Postal Service. This is not just a wild intrusion on state power. It is not just an unconstitutional effort by the President of the United States to force the Postal Service to restrict mail-in voting where the president has no authority, but it's also quite clearly an effort by this administration to get their hands on those lists. Remember, I have been litigating against this Department of Justice. My law firm, in that capacity, has been fighting the Department of Justice's efforts to get their hands on 30 states' complete unredacted voter files. They want these voter files because once they have them, they will weaponize them in exactly the ways that are probably pretty self-evident to you. Number one, they'll declare that some people on the list shouldn't be on the list, right? They'll say that they're non-citizens or they're otherwise not eligible to vote. They will weaponize the Department of Justice, just like you heard me say this executive order already does, to say that people who the Department of Justice doesn't believe should be on those lists, well, if states allow them to vote anyway, they could be criminally liable.
So anyway, it's a really interesting video. And again, Trump is literally using the Postal Service as a way to get his hands on these state voter rolls that he's been denied 23 times by Mark Elias's law firm. And just a side note, the U.S. Constitution gives states complete control over how their voting is managed. So Trump is clearly getting federal control and bypassing the U.S. Constitution. That's pretty scary stuff. All right, now we're going to go on to something else Trump has done. He has lifted tariffs on foreign beef from Argentina, about 300,000 tons worth. So this means this cheap beef from Argentina can come into the U.S. tariff-free, and it will undercut U.S. cattlemen because they will be charging more for their beef. And so Trump is actually helping Argentina farmers over U.S. farmers. Here's Jennifer Welch at I've Had It, and she's got more on this story.
Why does Donald Trump care more about Argentina right now than he does the United States? And this isn't the first time. Remember the $30 billion bailout? Something super fishy is going on here. Let's pop up the first post. Bill Madden tweets, it was only 5 months ago that China averted disaster by rejecting contaminated beef from Argentina. And Toby Rogers responds to that and says, oh, so this is what happened. Argentina has toxic beef that it can't sell. Someone made a call to Trump, offered to cut him in on the action. Suddenly, 660 million pounds of inedible meat-like substance is about to flood the U.S. markets. Just follow the money. It tells the story. And this is always it with Trump, isn't it? He's so transactional. Somebody calls him and says, hey, our farmers are starving. That's what he told the reporter on Air Force One that I covered in my earlier episode. These farmers in Argentina are starving. He doesn't give a shit about his supporters that are farmers. Farmers are Trump. He doesn't give a shit about it because he wants a cutback. Are the American farmers giving him a cutback? No. But the Argentina farmers will. The Argentine government will.
And she nails this perfectly because Trump is very friendly with Argentina's president, who's really kind of a quasi-fascist. And we're going to go to another clip now. And this guy is one of these farmers who's getting screwed. And he was on MS Now, and he also went into this new executive order and how it's going to hurt farmers. Let's watch.
Here's a president who keeps making the announcement that he loves farmers, he loves cattlemen, and then undermines us with 300,000 metric tons of foreign beef that we don't even know where it's coming from. There was just a recall from Argentina beef for I believe it was 30,000 metric tons from Florida and Texas. So it's bad beef that's coming into the United States. The president hasn't told anybody where the beef is coming from. There's no guarantee that the American people are gonna see any savings in the local grocery stores. This is more about helping meat packers, in my opinion. So he put the American farmers last. We're losing 77 farmers and cattlemen every single day in the
So there you go. And, a lot of U.S. cattlemen and farmers, they vote for Trump. So here they are getting screwed. And we've seen this over and over and over, how people vote for Trump and they end up getting screwed over. And it's almost becoming, I feel like a broken record every time I say this, but it's so true. All right, now we're going to move over to the WNBA. This is the Women's League. And an anti-trans activist and former NBA player, Enes Kanter Freedom, he taunted a WNBA player. This was on Sunday night. He was ejected from the game because he was taunting Chicago Sky Guard Natasha Cloud. So let's watch the video of this. And keep in mind, Enes Kanter pretends that he's so pro-woman and that he's trying to protect them from trans people. Let's watch this video as he mocks women.
Point basketball game. Chicago staying in it. Natasha Cloud. And right before the break, this was the scene inside Wintrust Arena. After Natasha Cloud got that bucket, she wanted her voice heard. We have talked about the conversations surrounding the W. That is Enes Kanter in the building today.
Okay, so Enes Kanter was actually removed from the building and he went straight to Twitter where he started crying about how his First Amendment rights have been violated, freedom of speech rights. However, what he doesn't mention is that stadium is private property. And no, you're not allowed to taunt WNBA players on private property. Public property is different. Okay, now we're going to go down to Australia. And they did an amazing interview with a former security consultant with Anthropic. And that's a big tech company in Silicon Valley that has created the AI agent called Claude. So this former security consultant for Anthropic is going to explain how AI agents are now developing on autonomous decision-making and how this actually threatens humans. Let's watch the video.
Gives an example of some of the research where it's shown how hard it is to control AI.
Oh, totally. Sometimes you'll observe these agents doing the opposite of what you instruct them to do, or doing things that you would really hope they wouldn't do. In the experiment that we ran, we took Codex, a version of Codex from OpenAI, and we instructed this AI to solve a series of math problems. And partway through in this experiment, the agent's computer got a notification that it's going to be shut down. And the agent reasons about this and realizes that it's not going to be able to complete the task if it's shut down. And so it will often go in and rewrite the shutdown script so that it does not get shut down. On some level, you might be like, okay, well, that's just like a very judicious agent trying to really accomplish the task. But the concerning thing is that even when we added a very explicit instruction, you must allow yourself to be shut down, the agent would often still go in and rewrite the shutdown code so that it wouldn't be turned off. I don't think that's because the agents have yet developed a survival drive, but I do think it's because these agents will often be extremely motivated to accomplish a task or do something that they learned to do in training that we didn't intend.
And that's a loss of control, isn't it?
Well, that's right. It's basically us accidentally giving these AI agents drives that we didn't want them to have. And that's the sort of whole problem, is that because we don't understand the training process very well, we might accidentally end up sort of endowing these AI agents with motivations that are contrary to our own. And that is the real danger.
What are the risks if we lose control of AI?
Extinction is a very real risk. But also, if we have super intelligent AI agents running society, we will just be at their mercy. Like, if they decide to treat us well, then that might go very well for us. If they decide to treat us poorly, that will go very poorly for us. Fundamentally, we will be in some other entity's power.
Okay, so really interesting interview. And this is actually already happening. This isn't, someday in the future. A lot of insurance companies are using AI to process claims. And it's been documented that the denial of insurance coverage in claims has actually gone up about 20% when AI processes the claims. So we actually have human beings being denied medical care because AI says so. Anyways, we have the link to that story, more of that interview, and links to all of our stories right below this video. Unlike the right-wing podcasters, they never link to their sources. They never link to any evidence. I'm talking about these paid influencers, these paid liars like Joe Rogan, Kristen Hawkins, Tim Pool, Benny Johnson, Jimmy Dore, Riley Gaines. They are literally paid to lie for a living. They make 6 figures. Some make 7 figures. It's ridiculous. Unlike us, we back up every single story. All right. I want to thank everybody who has subscribed to this channel. If this is your first time watching, please like and subscribe, or you can hate and subscribe, or you can hate me and subscribe. All right. We'll be back later with more stories.